All right, welcome to another podcast of Rock and Ramble, where we talk about everything from the legendary 80s.
What up, everybody?
90s. I'll do 2000s and all the way up until today.
Why not?
We want to talk about that legendary time back in the 80s and all the stupid shit and fun that we did and what we had. And hope you guys enjoyed the entertainment. Yep. Make sure you check us out on Spotify and YouTube. That's where we're going to be at.
All the
socials. We also got Facebook. We got Instagram. We got TikTok.
Yep.
Rockandramble.com. Rock the letter N. Ramble.com. That's where you can check out all of our gear that we're going to put out there.
Should I sing
We're going
it
to have a lot of pictures, a lot of other stuff
Should
to
I sing it to him?
Oh, go ahead, please.
Rock and Ramble! Okay, how's that?
All right, I like that. All right. So that's where we're at, man. We're just trying to do this and have a good time, man. We hope you guys enjoy it. Please follow us. Hit the link. Just follow us and just keep listening week after week.
If you guys like it, please help us out. And, we want to have some fun with you guys. So
I mean, the bottom line is this podcast is all about the fucking stupid shit that we did.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stupid stuff that we did.
But
man,
fun.
today.
But fun.
A lot of fun.
Yeah.
Lucky to be alive.
Yeah.
And some of our friends and people that we know didn't make it out alive.
Yeah.
And that's the sad part of what we're talking about. But there's a lot of funny things.
Fortunate, but you know what? We talked about this too.
We did.
A lot, those are years that are precious and priceless, and no regrets.
I think this is the reason why we think of our kids, and we don't want our kids to be as stupid as we were.
And I think they're quite aware of that. So.
But they don't know the half of what we really did.
No, right.
And this is going to bring it out.
It's probably good that they don't, but here we are.
Here it goes.
Here we
We're
are.
going to find out right now. I mean, there's a lot of stuff. I mean, the bottom line is, back in the day, we didn't have Uber. We talked about this a little bit, touched on it a little bit in our our very first podcast. We didn't have Uber back in the day. We didn't have any kind of ride sharing. We didn't call our mom and dads and ask our mom and dads to pick us up. I always told my kids, hey, when you're too drunk, just call me. Yeah. I won't even ask you a question. I'll pick you up
there's
as if I'm a stranger.
So many options nowadays that you really don't need to risk.
And I wish we had it.
Yeah.
But in the same aspect too, I talked to my nephew about this a while back, and I asked him because I thought kids didn't use Uber because maybe they thought Uber was just stupid or it was embarrassing. And he said Uber's clutch.
Yeah,
it's a clutch
absolutely.
Thing. The reason that a lot of kids don't use it is because they don't want to spend the money.
Right.
And that's also sucks because Uber.
But not sorry to interrupt you, but remember there was a rideshare service. One, if you want to call it that, back in the day when the MAD program came out, right?
Yep, there was.
And that
safe rides.
Safe rides, and people were actually embarrassed and not wanting to use that because they didn't want to be that stigma that they were getting picked up. Right?
I guess I might as well go into my story about that.
Well, okay, yeah.
So I got that embarrassment. Oh man, I used to work at a little nursery down in Orange County.
Okay,
and we were out. We used to smoke a lot of weed, and we worked on the loading docks. So we would do the loading docks and load all the gear and the fertilizer and the saw and all that stuff inside the car.
Okay.
So this was Christmas time. So we had to work late. It was dark outside, and we were smoking a little bit of weed. And my buddy's like, "Hey,
you're in a festive mood."
Yeah, one of the guys we ran out. One of the guys goes, "I got some really killer skunk butt at home, purple hair." We're all like, "Go, dude, we'll cover you. So he went out there and took off and went out there.
Yeah.
And he comes back, and he loads us a little bowl. We're smoking out. I bought some off him. And he looks over at me and says, and he's smoking a cigarette. And back then I smoked. I didn't have a cigarette. I go, "Hey, dude, can I have a couple drags? Can I have one of your cigarettes or a couple of drags?" He goes, "I don't got no more, but you can have a drag off this." So I'm like, he goes, "You don't mind?" He goes, "I don't mind. It's menthol. I don't give a shit. It was cool."
Okay.
Whatever. So
because you were cool.
I was cool, man. And as I'm smoking it, they look at me and like, "Are you all right?" I said, "Yeah, I'm fine. Why?" He goes, "You okay?" I said, "I'm fine. Why?" He goes, "Because it's laced."
Oh, no.
I go, "What do you mean, dude?" He goes, "Yeah, it's got angel dust on it."
Oh, man.
I had never done angel dust or PCB back in the day, so I'm like,
that sucks.
It did suck. So then here's the funny part. It gets funny though, actually. So I'm starting to. Now we have to go out and start loading Christmas trees on these people's cars. And I throw the tree up on top, and the tree fucking rolls to the other side. And I'm laughing, dude. This shit's funny.
Yeah.
So I go to their side.
Apparently,
the
customer probably didn't think so.
I throw it on the fucking roof.
Like, there goes my Christmas tree.
Rolls to the other side. And I can't stop laughing, dude. It's the funniest thing I've ever seen, right?
You're like, why won't this tree stay on the car?
So I barely make my way home. Now my buddy's coming over to pick me up. We're going to go hang out. We used to have this garage. We'd all sit back in the garage. And
so wait a minute, you drove?
I drove home.
You drove, okay.
Well, this is what I'm talking about being fucking stupid.
About, right.
And trust me, it was a wild ride getting home.
I could only imagine, like Mr. Toad's Wild Ride or something.
I got home, and I called my buddy, and I said, hey, come pick me up, and I have some weed. And we used to have this garage where all of the parents would let us have this garage. We'd all smoke out and party and drink and watch TV and listen to Zeppelin and Doors and all that shit.
Right.
So we're sitting there, and they come over and pick me up, and we're all sitting there, and I grab it, and they go, I got this killer purple-haired skunk. And I reload everybody a bowl. Now, remember, the angel dust effect had fallen off. But I took one rip of that weed. I was fucking higher than shit, dude. And all my buddies take a rip. And now I'm super high. They're not super high because they didn't do what I had done.
So you're on different levels.
We're on
completely.
different levels.
Yeah.
So they're all, dude, give me another bowl. I'm like, fuck, dude, you guys, I'm fucking higher than shit. I'm like, no, give me another fucking bowl. They're getting fucking mad at me. So finally the night goes on. I bogarted a little bit. I gave them a bowl, but I didn't give them as much as they probably would have wanted.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking, why are you guys want more? Dude, I'm fucking
Right. Because
wasted.
you're like, I'm fine. There's nothing wrong with me.
So I try to get my buddy to give me a ride home. He's like, fuck you, I'm not giving you a ride home. I'm like, dude, because you didn't give me no weed. I'm like, fuck, dude, give me a fucking ride home. He's like, call your parents. I'm like, fuck you, I'm not calling my fucking parents. Tell them I'm fucking stoned. I'm like, I'm drunk.
Yeah,
Come pick me up.
that's a great idea.
I'm on fucking angel dust. Come pick me up. So all of a sudden, a car comes pulling up, and my buddies go, your ride's here. Like, what are you fucking talking about? Yeah, we called you Safe Rides. I'm like, fuck you, dude. I'm not getting that goddamn car, dude. They said, well,
because the stigma, right?
You ain't going home. You better walk. And I'm like, well, I was really wasted. I'm not walking home. So I reluctantly, and I say reluctantly because back then it was embarrassing to get that ride.
Yeah.
It really was parents that used to give you a ride. They would basically be sober people that would donate their time to do it. And this is how Mothers Against Drug Drivers Mad, and that's how it happened.
Right.
So yeah, I took the ride home, bro, and it's just not the same as taking an Uber. I take Ubers all over the place.
Yeah. Well, I mean, let's face it. The idea and the concept was brilliant. It was great, but unfortunately, it just wasn't accepted. Right? It wasn't
not socially at all.
Really socially accepted. So it wasn't. People didn't want to use it.
Yeah, they didn't want to use it.
But now with Uber, Lyft, and all these rideshare programs, it's so easy. And yeah, okay, a little bit of the cost here and there, but certainly better than a 502 or injury risk or something like that. So,
and I had a couple 502s today.
Yeah.
So I mean, I can admit it. I had one when I was younger, and I got pulled over, and it cost me $5 to $8 grand.
Yeah.
And this is back then.
I was gonna say, imagine what it costs now.
Yeah.
And then obviously you have to go through the program.
It's life changing.
It's life changing, right?
Yeah.
And it's just honestly, it's so easy to do one of these ride shares. It's a no-brainer.
So what does
really
it mean?
is.
If you got a couple guys, like, we're doing our podcast now. We're going to go out afterwards. We talked about it.
Yeah.
We're going to jump on an Uber.
Absolutely, we're
going
gonna
to
do
probably
Uber.
do 20 or 30 bucks to get wherever. We split
Right.
it. It's 15 bucks.
Right.
We do another one on the way home, 15 bucks. So it costs us $30, $40. Now, does it suck losing 40 bucks? I mean, I guess so. I don't look at it that way, but I guess so. If you're younger and you're not making as much money, I understand that.
Yeah.
But think about it. That one mistake that you make could cost
you
a lot of things. You could hurt somebody and kill somebody.
That's
a
the
big
most
thing.
important thing.
But
right.
also, you could also get a 502 and you could cost yourself 10 grand, 15, 20 grand. You lose your license, you lose your job, all kinds of shit happens.
Yeah. It's just not worth the risk. It really is not.
But as much as we're talking about being safe and being smart, we were the fucking dumbasses that didn't do that.
I know.
Because we drove drunk.
Well, and here's the thing. It was hard for us, too, because we're from Orange County, right? So we were driving all the way up to L.A. for our shows and stuff. And a lot of times, we'd have to get up there early, right? Because we do our sound checks and all that kind of stuff.
Sure.
And then we do the show. Well, we're driving back down, right? You had a couple.
You didn't get hotel rooms and do like we do now.
No, you didn't get anything. No, you just drove, right? Well, yeah, dumb, not smartest, but that's what we did. And, how many times our wives, literally we drove home one time and my wife had a 2-liter bottle of a mixer in between her legs and we get pulled over and thank God the police officer was shining his flashlight in the car, didn't see it, and, luckily we got off because we told him, hey, we're just dropping off our friend, no big deal. And I was completely sober because I had the show.
You were driving.
I was driving, right?
Okay, so that's
at least
good.
I was, but everybody else was like totally like done, right? And so, but he let us off, and thank God, right?
Oh,
but
it gets
it's
crazier
those
than that.
little things, like it could have been so worse.
It gets
so much
crazier than that. I
worse.
was driving one night with a buddy of mine. We were in the car. We were driving. we were coming over this hill, and there was a Camaro coming down, and we decided, I had a 442 back then, and we decided to start racing in the middle of the road, a normal street. We're not talking on a big highway.
Yeah.
We're talking a normal street. Like if you were driving down Tusta Avenue or something like this.
Yeah.
So we're driving down this road racing, and a cop pulls me over. Oh. And I have a Heineken in between my leg as I'm racing.
No
My buddy
way.
does too. So as he pulls us over, he comes over and says to us, he said, and quickly we grab the beers. I tell him, shove them behind the seat. So we reach behind the back seat and we shove them under the back of the seat.
Okay.
So that they're under there. So the cop comes and pulls over, roll the window down. Have you guys been drinking? No, not at all, nothing. He goes, where are you guys coming from? I said, we're just at a party down the street. I go, we weren't drinking. He goes, so what are you guys doing? I goes, well, we were just, just hanging out with the girls and having some Cokes, whatever. And he looks in the back, flashes the flashlight, and there's an open ice bag that we had put the beers on to get them cold. Oh. And he says, well, what's the ice for? I said, they asked us to bring it over for the Cokes and everything, and they didn't end up needing it, so it's just sitting in the back of the car. Right when he says that, he puts the flashlight back on us, and all of a sudden he hears this. He puts back, and the beer bottle rolls from underneath the seat. And he looks right at us and goes, Cokes, huh? You want to step out of the car?
Oh, no.
So he gets us out of the car. Now, this is in front of my high school. This is like around the corner from my high school. So my hands are on the hood. I'm spread eagle. I'm getting pulled over, and cars are going by. All the people from my school fucking see me and know me.
Man.
And all of a sudden, he gets a call, and he goes, "I'm going to give you a ticket," because at that time we were only 16 years old, 17. I'm going to give you a ticket for
open container,
contributing to delinquency of a minor.
Oh yeah,
my friend. So he gave us a ticket. And they opened the trunk, and in the back is more beer and Bartles and James coolers. We had a bunch of them.
Bartles and James.
He made us pour every one of them out before they took off, and then they took off. They gave me a ticket.
Wow,
And luckily, when I went to court, it was so easy back then that I got a $50 fine. The fine was $50 of a donation to my favorite charity.
Oh wow!
No work time, no nothing.
That would not happen today, guaranteed.
Not in a million years.
No way. Wow.
A lot of stories, man. Like a lot of these things like that. It was very, very normal. The drinking and the stuff that we did was just, it was stupid.
Yeah.
It was really stupid.
But again, so that was kind of the challenge for us being from Orange County is we just had to do a lot of driving too, right? Going up to LA and all the shows up there that we were doing.
But even local.
But even local too, true.
Just going to Jezebel's or just going to the Marquee Club. I mean, those were, they were a little ways away.
Right.
But you still had to drive 20 minutes or 30 minutes in a car when you're intoxicated.
That's true.
And you've been drinking way more than you should be. And there's a couple things that happen. Either you meet a girl, if you're single, you meet a girl, and now you're all stoked. She's in the passenger seat going back to your house with you. Mm-hmm. So you're not thinking of the consequences.
Of course not.
Or you're pissed off because you didn't meet a girl, and you're driving home by yourself while driving. It's one of the two things are happening.
Right. And we know that, obviously we talked about this in the previous podcast where, places like the Marquee and some of these other places, like Goody's not as much, but, Jezebel's, whatever, the police knew exactly the pattern of everybody when they're coming and when they're leaving, right? And it was like, shooting like fish in a barrel, right?
Oh, yeah.
The minute you pulled out of there,
they
were pulling you over. They knew what was going on. And so many of my friends, yours too, unfortunately got 502s because they knew what was going on. So it is what it is.
I got a couple of them.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
The one in Laguna Beach, I happened to drive down the wrong side of the road. What can I tell you? It was a one-way street. I didn't know I was going the wrong way until he got me and pulled me over. Stupid as it was, but it's true. I had to call. I was dating Lisa. I had to call Lisa and tell her to come pick me up.
Oh, that's so brutal.
Come get me. What are you gonna do?
But that was the times back then. So the moral of the story is, it's much easier nowadays, and there's so many options to not do that. Obviously,
there is, and of course, it's a great idea not to. But it's a lot more fun telling the stories of the stupid shit we did.
Of course.
Right?
Yeah.
And the cops were lenient back then. Honestly, it was like, it's almost like nowadays they have to have a quota.
Yeah.
For what they're going to do and how much money they're going to bring into, for the city or for whatever it is, wherever they're at.
Yeah.
Now, that's a bunch of bullshit, dude.
Yeah.
Dude, one night driving home, tell us a quick story. I know we talked about a couple of stories, but this story is a great one. Actually, it's good and very bad, but I was coming home from the Marquee Club one night. And my buddy, who was fucked up too, I had lost my license. So I had my 502, so I couldn't drive.
Okay.
So he's driving. I'm in the passenger seat. And we're driving down the road. And as we're going down the road, he falls asleep.
Oh.
He's falling asleep at the wheel. And I'm wide awake. I see it.
So it's just the two of you in the car?
Just the two of us. And I see it. It's a Nissan pickup truck.
Okay.
And I grab the steering wheel. I'm like, dude, wake up, wake up. I'm trying to wake him up. And he fucking go, okay. He starts driving. So out there a couple of times, I do just pull over. I'll drive. Risking it, I'll drive.
Mm.
So I get in the parking lot, and he gets out of the car, I got a car, we go to switch. As I look up across the parking lot, there's about 4 cop cars.
Oh,
and
you knew that was going to happen.
They're looking right at us.
Oh, boy.
So I get in the driver's seat. I continue with getting in the driver's seat, and I start to take off. And as I take off, I see all the cops getting back in their car.
Oh, no.
So I'm like, fuck. So I go around the corner, and I see all the lights and headlights start coming towards us. So now we're in a spot where they can't really see us. So I quickly gun down the street. I turn quickly into a trailer park. I pull in the trailer park, and I go right into somebody's driveway with no car. Lights off and everything. Boom. Shut down. Cops come in the trailer park. They look around. They don't see us. They don't find us. So I tell them 5 minutes later, dude, you have to drive home. I can't drive. I can't take the risk. So he gets in the car, starts driving, and he falls asleep again as we're driving. So it comes to a point when as we're driving and he's asleep.
What's the deal here?
He's sleeping. I notice his foot. The car's going 60, 65 miles an hour.
Oh,
just
wow.
steady. So I decide, I think the smartest thing at this moment is for me just to steer the whole way home. So I steered all the way from...
How long are you talking about here?
Oh, by the time all this happening was in Irvine.
Oh.
Okay, the top part of Irvine. All the way down to Laguna Niguel. So that's probably a good 15 miles on the freeway.
For sure.
I'm driving, left arm, he's asleep in the driver's seat. I get home,
insane.
we start getting off the freeway. I wake up, dude, Greg, get up. You got to get off the freeway. Okay, I got it. Comes up to the stop sign. He goes, I got it. I let go of the steering wheel. He makes a right-hand turn. The fucking car goes up the fucking divider. I'm like, bro, dude, luckily I made it home.
Oh, no.
Luckily. And these are the funny stories.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that same night, a girlfriend of mine didn't have the same luck.
Yeah.
And I think I told you this, and this is a really hard story for myself, but I had a girl I was dating, and my friend who was driving was dating the driver of the car.
Mm.
They left a little before us, and we told them, make sure that you're safe getting home. And unfortunately, she fell asleep at the wheel, just like my buddy did.
Mm.
The other girl in the passenger seat was the girl I was dating, fell asleep too, and she got ejected from the car and was killed in the accident. So, you can just imagine there's funny stories about this, but there's also truthfulness. I mean, and the Uber that's today it's just a great thing to have.
Yeah.
So I mean, don't worry about the money, man. I mean, just get some buddies, get a bunch of people to go in there. And now Uber has a rideshare too, where you can share with another person.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it doesn't come as quick, and people are getting really kind of a little bit, they're impatient.
Yeah.
But
well, and even with because when there's primetime rates, like probably now, the rates do go up or whatever.
Sure.
But still, in the end, it's so much better than taking that risk, right? And not only risking your life, but others, or getting a 502. I mean, it's just really not worth it at all. So
I fell asleep in many cars and many parking lots in my life, man, and for sure, not driving the car home, not being too drunk, and I didn't always make that same decision.
Yeah.
I wish I could say I was a smart person when I was younger, and I know you were in the same boat as me.
Oh yeah,
now.
yeah.
We did a lot. We used to play in Hollywood when we played in Asphalt Jungle. We used to play. My buddy used to live down the street from the club, and we would a little ways away. It was probably a good 10 minutes, and we would sit on the balcony and get the beer bong, and we'd drink 5. We'd slam 5 beers. We'd slam them in a matter of 20 minutes between all the band members. We'd get in the car and we'd drive to the show, and our motto was 5 beers, no fuck-ups.
So you guys were total toasted at that point.
By the time we got to the club, it started to hit us. We were fucked up, and then we go on stage. So it was 5 beers, no fuck-ups.
Okay.
Drink your fucking 5 beers and don't fuck up on the stage. And that was the thing that we did. It's just like, it was normal. This was very normal.
Yeah, yeah.
In the parties, after parties.
Well, it's part of what, kind of, like you said, like that was part of the experience, right? We all had our little things like that.
Sure.
So, I mean, we had kind of something similar where, we would go backstage, and during the day, obviously we'd do our sound checks and all that stuff, have whatever early dinner. And then when we go on stage, we would have our bottle of Jack up there. And, that's how we kind of calmed our nerves and settled things down. And then afterwards, that was kind of the pre-party before we go into the after party. Because then what would happen is after we do the show, there'd be the party backstage, and then we'd head back down to Orange County where we'd have somewhere, either a warehouse or whatever, where we'd have our,
or click
of
friends,
post party or whatever, and then we'd really get our drink on because obviously we've come driven back.
Were you
from
nervous
LA.
when you were on stage?
There was that initial, like, you get the little butterflies.
Sure.
But then once you step on the stage, that adrenaline kicks in, and it's like that
an amazing
energy.
feeling.
It's just such an amazing feeling. And, it's one of those things, if you could bottle that, you could sell millions. It would be unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
Because that's why I think it's so hard for, artists to stop doing that, what they love to do. Because when you walk up on stage and, the most I think we played in front of was like a couple thousand people.
Sure.
But it is
still a lot of people, though.
It's still a lot of people, right? But it's such an adrenaline rush. It really, really is.
When we first started, my first band that I was in, I definitely had nerves because I was a bass player. I told you before, I was more of a taught bass player. I was in the band because my friends wanted me to be in the band. I wasn't really because I was a great bass player. So that was nerve-wracking. But when I got into the next band that I was in later on, and we would hear at the house here, we'd have all kinds of parties before, and I was just fucking pumped up, man. Getting people over here, we'd have a couple of drinks, we'd go down to the bar, and I couldn't wait to get on stage. I don't.
Did you ever have like nerves at all?
One time, the band was together. Actually, 2 times. The band was together for a while. I think I kind of told you the story a little bit how we got the band formed. But as we were doing our first kind of show, it wasn't really a show. We were rehearsing. We had this one room that we rehearsed in a room, and you could only see if you stood at the door. So it wasn't like it was open. So people would walk through and kind of take a look inside as we were rehearsing. That was kind of the gig. And they were playing pool outside and drinking. There's probably about 40, 50 people. So that was a little nerve-wracking because I'd never really been experienced anybody watching me sing because in the band before I played bass.
Right.
The first show that we did a party for the drummer's wife, and after the show, everybody was like, they were just complimenting us and saying like how great we were, and that made me feel really good.
And what that band was?
Madison.
Madison. That's okay, Madison. So let me ask you this, because I know we
actually at the time it wasn't Madison, so Madison came later. It was actually called Wood.
Oh, okay.
The band originally was called Wood for about 2 years. Okay. And then the bass player left the band. We had turmoil, dysfunctional family. And then we ended up getting another bass player, and the guitar player, drummer, myself went on. And as we went on, we called it Madison. And I didn't really have nerves, but when we finally reformed and went to Madison, it was probably a year of time. So when we played, we were already, the first show we were playing, we were opening for Pretty Boy Floyd.
Okay.
So you could imagine you're getting put into a big scene in Hollywood.
Oh yeah, and they had a pretty good following at that point. So
and especially in Hollywood.
Yeah.
So we're at the Knitting Factory, right? And we're out there, and it's just there's people everywhere. And yeah, I was nervous. I was on the couch trying to take a sleep, man. I was nervous. I was going to forget my words and everything. So I was That was the only time though.
Well, so let me ask you this, just for our audience, because obviously they know that obviously we were in bands and all that stuff. But what would you say was the biggest show that you did? I guess I'm assuming it would be Madison, right?
No, actually it was Asphalt.
It was Asphalt. So what was the biggest show that you did with Asphalt, and kind of number of people and the bands that you played with?
I mean, we sold out many of the clubs in Hollywood, but we always played with other bands, so it was more than just us.
Okay.
Rosie Coyote, Big Bang Babies. Big Bang Babies actually turned into Pretty Boy Floyd.
Okay.
So we played with those guys a lot in the scene, and so we played the clubs in 500 people or 700 people. We played a lot of those shows.
Got it.
We didn't really play any of the big 1,000, 2,000 person shows or anything. We were a lot of a club band.
Right.
And then with Madison, we probably, most of the venues, like probably Gaslamp or some of those places where you have a few hundred people in the audience. It's a good crowd, packed place. A lot of favorites that I had, a lot of good shows. We played at OC Tavern in San Clemente and packed the place. I mean, like you couldn't even walk in. Probably 200-300 people, but it was fun.
Yeah.
Not the 2-3 million people we needed to make any money.
Well,
and instead we're here doing podcasts.
Same here, right?
But I love the podcast. I mean, this is what it's all about. It's telling the stories.
But it's fun from our perspective, because obviously we didn't make it, but we got to a small taste of it, right? In our own experiences, playing those Hollywood clubs and doing the shows that we did, and obviously one of our big shows was, of course, at the Celebrity Theater, LA Guns and Racer X, and that was an awesome show. That was incredible. I mean, the chance to play with those big bands, and probably that for us, and then the Armored Saints show that we did at the Palladium.
That's a good one.
Those are two big ones for us.
Very nice.
But it was good. It was a good experience for us.
Yeah, we had. I mean, through the days we opened for quite a few bands too. We opened for. Do you remember Dizzy Reed from Hookers and Blow?
Oh yeah,
we opened for them. That was a good show.
Yeah.
We opened for Ashes Divide, which is a guy from Tool and Perfect Circle. We opened for Rat. We opened for MSG. That was a killer show, dude. We opened for Pretty Boy Floyd. I mean, just like you guys, a lot of different shows. And and it was funny because we headlined our own shows, but opening for them was a lot more fun.
Yeah. No, and it was fun to be part of it, right? Because you got to, play in front of a crowd that you don't know you get to play.
And
in
they
front
don't really
of
know you.
like that. They don't know you, right? So it's kind of fun to try to win over new fans,
Sure.
So yeah, but it was all part of the whole scene that we were obviously you and I were part of.
Yeah.
Big part of our lives at that point.
Well, it was a lot of fun in the days of Hollywood and the days of Orange County. I mean, the clubs were very different from one end to the other. L.A. and Orange County were very different scenes.
Absolutely different.
But it was still a lot of fun, and everywhere you went. I mean, obviously, it was a little more raunchy and rowdy in L.A. than it was in Orange County. And I thrived to get up there. I wanted to always go up and be in L.A. because L.A. was just a fun place.
Yeah.
Cat House opened up. That was a killer place, dude. A lot of fun at the Cat House. Rainbow was always
that was Ricky Rackman's Cat House.
Ricky Rackman's, yeah. I think we talked about it. They opened an old restaurant that was there, and they turned it into an old disco club. Old disco club and turned it into the Cat House.
I'll never forget I turned 21 and went to the Cat House for the first time, and oh man, did I get
first blowjob?
No.
I'm sorry, dude.
But I got. I wish I could say that. But,
well, I mean,
but I did get very hammered. I have to say that it was quite an experience. I have to say, yeah. Because you had, everybody, at that point, Axel's hanging out there, Tammy Downs, everybody was there, right? Yeah. Everybody was hanging out.
Well, Tammy was part with
he was
Ricky,
part owner with Ricky, right?
Yeah.
So he'd had everybody. That was the place to be at that time, right?
Yeah.
So. Yeah.
Well, I wish I could. I mean, I wish myself, like I was lucky enough to play in the band when my kids were old enough to kind of remember, but they were still pretty young. Yeah. I think the last show I ever played, my son was 10 and my daughter was 9.
Okay.
So they remember some of the stuff, but they don't remember. I wish I could have done a little bit longer. I think having those memories from people that you love and you care about, it's a big thing. Mm-hmm. And I play the CDs and different things for them, and it's not exactly
It's not the same, sure.
It's not. And when you listen to it, it's not like listening to someone on the radio. We're very different. Your band was, my band was.
Right.
Very different, but it was a lot of fun. And I would do it again.
Yeah.
I would put the band back together and do it again and do a couple of shows. You don't really get along with all people, and it would be hard to pull past that, and that's the hardest part.
So let me ask you another question. What do you miss most about being in a band and, kind of being in that moment and having that experience?
I think this is I don't know if I call it selfish, but I tell my wife it's not about me being on the stage and me being like the main attraction. But what it was always a reason to throw a party, and you knew that a lot of your friends were going to be there.
Yeah.
So we had a great following of a lot of our friends that would continually go to all of our shows. Mm-hmm. And it was like when we go to a show, when we go see a show, a concert or whatever we do it together. You go get a hotel, you go do this, you have dinner. It's a whole night.
It's a whole night.
And that's really what it was. So we would be the center of the show, and people were coming to see us, and that made it even more fun. Mm-hmm. But really it was all about the night out and the whole thing about it. And just not just the gig, but all things leading up to the gig and the things that happen after the gig.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the best part about it. What would you say?
No, I'd say, I mean, I think we had a lot of friends and family that, would come out to the shows, and it was just a big party. It was kind of cool because we were bringing those fans and friends and families, whatever, to these awesome places, these iconic places, the Whiskey, Troubadour and all that kind of stuff. So it was a big party, and then for me personally, it really was just entertaining, right? That adrenaline rush when you get on stage and you start that first note, right? And you first start singing, and just the reaction that you get from the
after
crowd
the first song,
after the first song, and
it's going to make or break.
Oh, it's going to make or break. Absolutely, it's going to make or break. But if it makes, man, there's no better feeling. It's such a great positive rush, I
was jamming recently with one of my buddies, and him and I were going over some stuff. And unfortunately, a lot of the stuff that we're trying to do we're not kind of in the same wheelhouse of what we wanted to do.
Yeah.
he's wanting to do a lot of stuff that I'm not really wanting to do. And I don't want to do covers. I want to do originals. I already have a list of songs. I would just need people that would want to play the songs, and not to just be that band again, but to use those songs to be able to get on stage faster and then rewrite stuff over that.
Right.
That's what I could end up doing. And he was interested. We got a couple people together, and then we had one of the guys that was a guitar player, a really good friend of mine, and he was like, what do you guys really want to do with this? And I'm like, man, inevitably I'd love to play a show or two again. And he was more just doing it for fun, and I'm with that. It is fun, but I would, if I were going to do it, I would want to do it to play one.
So he had no interest in being.
I don't think so.
Being on stage
no,
or doing
not
it.
really.
No, okay.
Not as a serious thing.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to have to do it serious, but just the fact that trying to get on the stage once or twice more would be an accomplishment, something I'd want to do.
Yeah.
Well,
and don't you want to share it with others, right? Because the whole point of that you of course you want to write the music and stuff because you're expressing yourself, but then how cool is it to share that with others, right?
And that's the good part too. And there's people in my life that have never seen me perform, and to me, we've talked about this. That was a big part of my life. So my performing and who I am was directly contributed to the things that I've done in my life, including my music.
Yeah.
And the entertainment business that I was in. And when I played music and people saw me, the compliments you get or the reaction they give you it's priceless.
It is.
And I have a lot of family members and people that we have found over the years, and friends that I've become friends with, and different things that have never seen it. Like you've never seen me play, and I've never seen you play.
I know. Which again goes. That's so crazy to me.
But it would be. But think about it. How great would it be if you were playing a show?
I know.
And I was there watching.
Yeah, and I could see you
and
guys
the
play too. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That's what it's about. It's about that feeling that you have, and sharing what you put your heart into, and having a response from it, and having people enjoy it with you.
And somebody that appreciates it, right? That gets it, right? Especially someone like you and I that we've been in the business. We know what it's like and how difficult it is. And to get that level of support, it's pretty cool.
And that's why we talked about earlier in the last podcast, when we talked about all the bands that aren't putting the time in and doing it. It's like, part of me, well, fuck you.
Yeah. Well, it's now they're riding, it's complacency, right? They're just kind of riding
they have to either make the money because they need it. Yeah.
Totally money grab.
And it sucks because I can't say I wouldn't be there because we didn't get that far.
Yeah.
So I don't know where we'd be or how we would feel or how cocky you become.
Right.
To be like, well, I'm fucking so-and-so.
Yeah, I'm whatever, and I could do whatever I want at this point because they're still going to love me.
I put 15 good records out, so screw you.
Yeah.
It's a thing. But I enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun doing it and a lot of stupid shit that we did.
Yeah.
And a lot of fun. I mean, all these things tie together. You know what I mean? All these things tie together.
By the way, real quick, we're going to do a cheers.
Yeah.
Cheers.
I'm pretty much almost dry, but I got cheers right.
Pretty serious.
I got one left right there.
We
did get serious, and we're not always going to be the serious guys. We're sorry.
No.
We're just
we really get into this topic because as you guys, you heard us on the first podcast say, Ren and I have gone through so many different experiences that are very similar, yet through the bands and the Hollywood scene, the music, the promotion, working for Red Onions and KNAC and all that stuff, we never ran into each other.
Crazy.
It's just, how did we not run into each other? That's just really weird. And then today we start talking about Mexico. Right?
Oh yeah, a whole nother story.
You had a whole nother story.
I had a house that was down the street from you,
and we go there every year, dude, to that same
crazy.
Spot. And how did we not run into each other?
We've had a couple conversations like this over the years.
This is wild.
It is wild.
Really wild.
Well, we were in the same scene. We did a lot of the same shit together, so this is gonna come up.
Yeah, I think honestly, I think it was meant to be.
Yeah, it probably was.
Yeah.
It probably was.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's why we get along so well. I think that's why it's easy for us to talk about this stuff and to really put together what we hope is going to be a good show.
Well, we hope everybody appreciates it. I mean, we're just kind of pouring ourselves into this, podcast and giving you guys a little glimpse of kind of the stuff that we experience, but it's really hopefully stuff that you guys can relate to and it resonates with you guys. So.
Yeah, and like some of you that didn't go through the times or didn't understand it, it's nice to kind of understand the history of what it was back in the day.
Yeah,
and we always want to know what it's like today. I mean, I still try to keep current. I try to keep up with my kids and find out what's going on with them.
Yep.
And what the stuff they do. I mean, here's a funny quick story. We were gone on a weekend somewhere, And my son had a bunch of friends over, and they wanted to go to a club. And I think it might have been my son's birthday or someone's birthday. And they wanted to do it at a club down in Newport. Now,
Yeah.
we're here in Tustin, so that's probably 15 miles away. And they had a car to go, and the car wasn't big enough to carry everybody in it. So someone was like, let's just call an Uber. And my daughter was driving, and she was just going to drive them, drop them off, and come back. And they were like, we don't have enough room. One of my son's friends, like, fuck it, I'll jump in the trunk. And they closed the trunk, dude. He rode in the trunk all the way from Tustin to Newport.
Okay, that's balling right there.
I mean, dude, you don't see shit. Could you imagine? I mean, you see all those movies where the guy's trapped in the back and handcuffed and fucking gagged, and this guy's in the back of the truck willingly, not able to open in there and talk to me. I personally be scared shitless.
I don't know if I would have done that. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah. So I mean, it's just the things change a lot, man. And I'm glad that we went through what we went through.
There's another I was going to mention to you. Speaking of like kind of sign of the times now. So there's all kinds of these current songs, popular songs, which I love all different genres of music. But there's that one with Rose and Bruno Mars. That APT song or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
So, I think it was, my wife was listening to that with my son or whatever. And it's a catchy tune. I got to admit it. That one part, the chorus part, right? When they're talking about the APT or whatever, I swear, I think she's saying, or they're saying, back it up a tit. So I'm like, I was thinking to myself, that's back it up a tit. It's supposed to be APT or whatever. I'm like, that's back it up a tit, right? I say this to myself out loud. Back it up a tit, right? It's like, yeah, back it up a tit. They look at me like I'm freaking from outer space, dude. They're like, what the fuck are you talking about? Back it up a tit. But that's what it sounded like to me.
Dude, kids, my kids make fun of me all the time for sure, dude. They make fun of me for stuff because and you know what? And we probably made fun of our parents too.
Oh, I'm
we
sure.
We probably did.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
do I remember all the times? No, it's probably too fucked up.
Yeah, but I would hope we're a little bit cooler, maybe. No, I don't know. I would think. I'm
definitely.
I'm going to say yes.
This is nothing. I'm not how my parents be cool, but my parents weren't in tune with me like I am with my kids, and I make it a point. And here's to sum the whole thing up and to say one quick last story. My son at 14 years old had a soccer practice, and before we left, he kind of got upset with some stuff that was happening at the house with his mom and all this stuff. So we drove to soccer practice. On the way home from soccer practice, he's still in a bad mood. I said, "Dude, what is wrong with you?" He goes, "I just, Dad, I just don't feel like I have a voice." I go, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Well, you and Mom always tell me all this shit to do and all this stuff. I just don't feel like I have a voice." I'm like, "Well, dude, I mean, think about it. You do really have a voice, but that just because you have a voice doesn't mean you're going to get what you want."
Right.
So we're your parents. So here's the thing about it. You can bitch and complain about being your parents, but when you get to be our age, what happens is you're going to take the things that you liked of what we did, and you're going to take the things that you think that you didn't like that we did, and you're going to change them and sprinkle in your own shit.
Yeah.
And that's how you're going to be a parent. Yeah. And that's how you're going to do it. There's a lot of stuff that my parents did I didn't like, and there's things my parents did that I liked. Mm-hmm. And that's what made me the parent. But I make it a point to spend time with my kids. Yeah. I make it a point to try to do things with them and try to have, whether we go to events or whatever, I try to be more present. Yeah. Now, could I be even more present? Of course, we all could be. We need our time too, but I try my best. Yeah. I know you do too.
No, I mean, honestly, same thing. I mean, it's, my wife and I have always been of the opinion that we want to be very close to our kids and have a tight-knit family and all that, of course. And we want to have good relationships, close relationships with our kids. But at the end of the day, we're still the parents, right? And we want to make sure that they understand that. Sure. Because, I mean, look, I got my son, smoking stogies, and we hang out, and, we have a tight bond. My son and I, my daughter and I, we do different type of bond, and we're close. I'm close to both of them. But at the end of the day, they both understand that I'm still their dad. Mom's still mom, and they respect that part. And so we're not their friend, but we're close to them. We're the parent.
Yeah, of course.
So
yeah, I mean, I've partied hard with my kids. We've got fucked up together. Yeah. We've done those things.
Yeah.
I've helped walk my kid in the house because he can't walk, or held his hair back and rubbed his back when he throws up in the toilet.
Those are things we do as parents.
That's what
right?
we do.
Yeah.
I've done that. I didn't do it with my dad. I did it with my mom. So I didn't do those things. And we're talking about partying and stuff. I know there's a lot of things than just partying, But I try to be that cool guy that allows them to do what they want to do.
Yeah.
And I try not to let them do stupid shit, but like I did.
Yeah.
But who am I to say?
Well, that's just it, because we've always had experience. I mean, look, I've I've been in very compromising positions where I've
Sexually?
no, well, yes, but we're not going to get into that right now. But that'll be for a later podcast. But I mean, literally, I was in front of my parents' house, literally in the gutter, puking, and had to have help from, at that time, my girlfriend, who became my wife, dragged me into the house. And literally my parents, I mean, if this isn't embarrassing enough, had to put me in the shower naked, because I had throw up all over me. And, so it wasn't a good look. Let's face it. It wasn't a good look. But
I think you should have been a little bit stronger.
Yeah, well, I think so too.
I'm just saying.
But hey,
didn't happen
but you
to
know
me.
what? They were there for me, like
They
it
were
or
there
not.
for
And
you.
even though I was cussing in Hungarian and whatever else, and crazy shit, because I'm first generation, whatever, Hungarian, and my parents are laughing at the same time. They were pissed because they're like, I'm just going off. But they were there for me at the end of the day. So.
Well, that's good. I think we're going to wrap this one up, you guys. We've
All
had a
right,
great
guys.
time hanging out with you. I know we got a little more serious than normal, but that's okay, man. It's all about what we've gone through and
Our stories.
Our stories. This is really all about our stories. I mean, and we'll talk about other things too, about how things generate into today. But really, it's about what we've been through. We appreciate all the time you spend with us. Make sure that you check us out again. Like I've said before,
All the socials.
YouTube, Spotify. That's going to be our main channels. We got Facebook, Insta, and TikTok. And make sure you check out our website. Please get some merchandise, man. The letter N, Ramble, rockandramble.com.
Rock and Ramble!
Make sure you pick up some of that swag, because we're going to have some cool swag out there. We're going to put some pictures. We're going to have some bumper stickers and some different stuff. But please support us. Hit the follow button, likes, everything. We want it all. Likes and licks, baby. Likes and licks.
Thanks, everybody.
All right,
Really
we'll talk to you
appreciate it.
soon. We're out.
Out.